Have you ever felt like you're just running on autopilot, Like some invisible code is running your day? Well, turns out you're not wrong. That code is very real. It's called a habit. And today we're going to crack it wide open and show you exactly how it all works. So, let's just start with a number. 40%. Kind of seems random, doesn't it? But trust me, this single number is the key to understanding, well, pretty much everything about who you are and who you could decide to become. So what's it all about? You got it. 40% of what you do every single day isn't really a conscious choice at all. It's a habit. We're talking everything from the way you brush your teeth to how you automatically react when you're stressed. So it kind of begs the question, right? If you're not always making the choice, who's really in control? To find the answer, we have to look inside our own heads. It turns out, when your brain flips that switch to autopilot, it's not being lazy. No, it's actually being incredibly efficient. See, deep inside your brain, there's this little section called the basal ganglia. You can think of it as the ultimate energy saver. Its whole job is to take things you do over and over and turn them into automatic routines. Why? To free up your conscious mind for bigger and better things. It's a brilliant system, really, but it has one major flaw. It literally cannot tell the difference between a good habit and a bad one. Okay, so how does the brain actually build these automatic routines? Well, here's the amazing part. It turns out that every single habit, and I mean every habit, from biting your nails to going for a run every morning, it all follows the exact same neurological blueprint. And that blueprint is called the habit loop. This is it. This is the simple yet super powerful three-step pattern that your brain uses to lock in a behavior. And look, understanding this loop is absolutely the first step to taking back the controls. And the process is actually surprisingly simple. It all starts with a cue. That's the trigger, the thing that tells your brain to go into autopilot. That's immediately followed by the routine. That's the behavior itself, the thing you actually do. And then finally, you get the reward, the little hit of positive reinforcement that tells your brain, hey, remember this loop? Let's do it again. Every single habit you have is built on this foundation. Cue, routine, reward. Remember that. So, if the loop is the same for every habit, why does it feel so much easier to build bad ones, like mindlessly scrolling on your phone, than it is to build good ones, like exercising? Well, it all comes down to the reward. Bad habits are absolute masters of instant gratification. They give your brain a quick, easy shot of dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical that signals pleasure. And this creates this incredibly powerful feedback loop where your brain starts craving that reward the second it even sees the cue. It makes the habit feel almost irresistible. And by the way, this is a loop that app designers and junk food companies have engineered to perfection. And right here, this is the core of the challenge we all face. Bad habits, they pay you right now. But good habits, things like eating healthy or saving money, their reward is delayed. And your brain, since it's an efficiency machine, will almost always choose the immediate, guaranteed payoff. All right, so we get the science, we understand the habit loop, and we know why our brains get so hooked on those instant rewards. So the big question is, how do we actually use this knowledge to build good habits that stick? Let's get into the toolkit. First things first, let's set some realistic expectations. You've probably heard that whole "it takes 21 days to form a habit" thing. Well, the truth is, the research shows it's actually more like 21 to 66 days. It totally depends on the person and, how hard the habit is. So the first step is just to be patient with yourself. The real key is to make it so easy to be consistent that you can't say no. Start ridiculously small. You want to read more? Don't commit to a chapter. Just read one page. This is called the 2-minute rule. The goal here isn't even to do the thing. It's to master the art of just showing up. When you make it that small, it's easy to be consistent, and that repetition is what forges the neural pathways for a habit that actually lasts. Okay, now listen up, because this is the golden rule for breaking bad habits. You don't eliminate them, you replace them. First, you have to identify the cue that triggers you and the reward that you're really looking for. Then you just swap in a better routine that gives you a similar reward. So if the cue is stress and the reward you crave is relief, instead of reaching for a cigarette, maybe try a 2-minute walk. You keep the cue and the reward, but you change the routine. It's a game changer. So, we've got the tools now to change our actions. But the most powerful, lasting habit changes, they aren't about what you do. They're about who you become. And this means shifting your entire perspective. This is the idea of identity-based habits. So instead of focusing on an outcome, like I want to lose 20 pounds, you focus on an identity. I am a healthy person. When you do that,
Every little action you take becomes like a vote for that identity.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? When the goal is just to read a book, you're done when the book's finished. But when your goal is to become a reader, you build a system for reading that just becomes part of who you are. The behavior is now just an extension of your identity, and that makes it infinitely more powerful and long-lasting.
So here we are. We've learned that nearly half of your life is run by these automatic habits, and they're all built on a simple little neurological loop. You now have the blueprint to understand that system and, more importantly, to redesign it. That old code, it doesn't have to define you. So the only question left is, who will you decide to become?